time about why my lunch lady always hated me in high school. Never thought this would happen to me. This story takes the biggest turn at the end. Okay, so it first started off as just my lunch lady eyeing me weird. Whenever I would enter the cafeteria or whenever I would pay for my food, she would always give me the weirdest look. And then sometimes she wouldn't even let me get lunch. She would say, "Oh, you don't have enough money on your account," when I knew the day before I just put money in. So then I wouldn't be able to eat lunch. I reported her a couple times. Mind you, my mom works at the school. I even told my mom about it. She would just lie and be like, "I never said she couldn't get her food." Mom told me that if she ever refused to let me get food again, to just come up to her classroom and then she'll give me something to eat. But I was so confused because my mom works at the school and I expected her to talk to administration about how the lunch lady is treating her daughter. But she didn't say anything to administration until one day. This time I actually didn't have any money on my account and I did not know. I went to go get my lunch as usual. When I go to check out my food, the lunch lady throws her hands up, knocks my plate out of my hand. She says I'm just like my mom because we're both greedy. Like for part 2. This is part 2 of why my lunch lady always hated me in high school. So like I said, this time I actually didn't have any money and I went to check out my food for lunch. The lunch lady knocks my plate over and says I'm just like my mom since we're both greedy. And I had no idea what she meant. Said she meant to throw her hands up. She didn't mean to knock over my plate. Everyone was looking at us and it was so awkward, so I just walked away. And I didn't even sit down for lunch. I just walked out of the cafeteria and went straight to my mom's classroom. I had no idea what the lunch lady was talking about. My mom doesn't even talk to her. Or at least I thought she didn't. So like I said, I was on the way to my mom's classroom after the lunch lady yelled at me in front of the whole entire cafeteria. And once I got to my mom's classroom, I told her exactly what happened. She was in the middle of class. When I tell you my mom stormed out of her class, went straight to the cafeteria, pulled up on the lunch lady in front of everybody, and she grabs her by her hair. The lunch lady tried to grab to the cash register. The cash register fell and money went everywhere. All you could hear was the coins dropping on the floor like ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. I was so close to jumping in, but my mom had her. Other teachers had to come into the cafeteria to break them up. And I got a time select for part 3. Okay, so this is part 3 of why my lunch lady always hated me in high school. Like I said, my mom dragged the lunch lady in front of everyone in the cafeteria. Some teachers came and pulled them apart. They immediately fired my mom, obviously. My mom said, "Forget this, forget y'all," and she took me and we both went home. Well, on the way home, she told me the beef with the lunch lady. So apparently the lunch lady had been flirting with the history teacher. And my mom and the history teacher were seeing each other on the low. My mom was married. So I was like, "So what about dad?" She said that my dad just didn't make her happy anymore. But the problem with the lunch lady was the fact that all the teachers at my school are messy. They're always talking about another teacher. And so basically all the staff knew, just because of rumors and gossip, that my mom and the history teacher were kind of seeing each other. Everyone knew, including the lunch lady. So once the lunch lady started flirting with the history teacher too, they low-key started having tension with each other. But it was unnecessary for the lunch lady to take out her anger on me. So by the way, this happened when I was in high school. I have now graduated out of college. And my parents are divorced now, so.
Okay, so because everyone knows what the Scientology symbol is now, given what happened recently in the media, I saw a lot of people in the comment sections asking what Scientology is. So I figured we should talk about it. And FYI, this is no hate to them at all. If someone handed me this necklace, I think I would have thought it was Taylor Swift merch. The S kind of looks like a snake. So the word Scientology quite literally means knowing how to know. The Latin word scio meaning knowing, mixed with the Greek word logos meaning study. And the point of this religion is to develop a deep understanding for one's true spiritual nature, and understanding one's relationship to self, family, groups, mankind, all life forms, the material universe, and the spiritual universe, and the supreme being. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The religion was developed by an author named L. Ron Hubbard, and some of the original controversy surrounds him being a science fiction author. Writing over 600 pieces, he literally has the world record for the author with the most published works. In his own biography, he's presented as a war hero, adventurer, prodigy that turns into a messiah. But pretty much most of his biography was a total sham. So in L. Ron Hubbard's book, he talks about stuff as simple as his childhood whenever he was on a cattle ranch, whenever he didn't even actually own one, and to get into the US Navy, he wrote his own fake letter of recommendation. He was later removed from this post because his superiors found him incapable of command. For example, he fired at a Japanese submarine that no one else could see and he had no proof of. He also fired at an island that turned out to belong to Mexico, a US ally. So not exactly the war hero he was portraying himself as. He becomes a practicing hypnotist and develops other unconventional interests. And in 1950, he writes Dianetics, Modern Science of Mental Health. Note the volcano here, we'll get to that later. And this book focuses on a technique that's still used in Scientology today called auditing. An auditor is someone who is counseling you through a machine called an e-meter. It works similarly to a lie detector test. This helps the patient get through past traumas, and it starts the process of removing negative past memories in a process called clearing. And this science slowly moved on to be a religion. So what exactly do Scientologists believe? So they believe in something called a thetan, which is essentially an immortal soul that has been through multiple past lives and is trapped in our now human bodies. We are not confined to a single lifetime, and we are capable of anything even though we haven't realized it yet. So this is the point of the auditing. Not only to go through and clear all of your trauma from this lifetime, but all of your past lifetimes as well. Their godlike figure is referred to as the supreme being, but discovering this being is each own individual's unique journey. They also believe in the 8 dynamics, which I'll put here. And once you're clear, you can move on up the ladder to a more meaningful and powerful position. The goal is to hit operating Thetan. Once you get to this level, you can control the world around you, and you can also leave your body at any time. To achieve OT, you have to get to level 3, which takes a lot of auditing, and you have to sign confidentiality agreements. And Hubbard warned people about this level, saying that it was dangerous and might cause illnesses. And some of the documents about this level were released to the public, which got very controversial. What was in these documents? Well, 75 million years ago, there was a dictator called Xenu who was an alien and ruled over the Galactic Confederacy. He brought billions of his people to Earth, stacked them around volcanoes, and killed them. Hence the volcano, which released their Thetans into the environment. And these Thetans, spirits, adhere to humans, which is ultimately what causes us spiritual harm. There's obviously a lot more to this, and this is just a Cliff Notes version. And when Ron Hubbard passed away, the church pretty much just said that he no longer needed his physical body anymore. Like, he's completed all of the levels. And you guys might be wondering, yes, this sounds a little interesting, but everyone has freedom of religion, so why is this one so bad? Well, let's start with how much it costs to be a part of this. To achieve these levels, you have to spend so much money. One of the cheapest levels for auditing is like $2,700, and that's assuming you end that session being free of those traumas. Most people spend around $500,000. And if you finish these and you're not an operating Thetan, that's on you, start over, pay again. I really hope they don't come for me after this series, but keep in mind that even Charles Manson thought that Scientology was too crazy for him. Well, after they had decided that they were a religion, they were exempt from taxes around the 60s. And this was many lawsuits later. And in 1986, a guy named David Miscavige took over the church. And this is where a lot of their violence and abuse claims come from. A lot of them are towards him, but nothing's been substantiated. And after him, a rise in celebrities joining Scientology came about. Tom Cruise, John Travolta would help recruit people. This church is making a ton of money and allegedly giving people low wages. In addition to this, it has broken families apart. Like, if someone in your family does not agree with you being a part of this, you are required to cut them off. The leader of the church even cutting off his own father. And the scariest part of this is that all of your auditing tapes are recorded. So you have a file of your deepest, darkest secrets on record. They can be either used to discredit you or blackmail you later. And they have been known to force confessions. Also, no one has seen David's wife since like 2007. If you want to hear the rest of this story, go to my Insta.